Okay.
Hi, I'm Claire Nollmeyer, and today is May the 3rd, and I get to have a conversation today with Reverend Bob Stanley, and we're just going to visit a little bit about his time with us here at Tempe first, because we have this history project that we're trying to put together in anticipation of our 140th anniversary. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Claire.
We're going to start with the first time that you came to Tempe first. Do you remember that?
I do. In 1973, I became district superintendent of the Tucson district. And while it seems illogical, Tempe, Chandler, Mesa, Scottsdale were all in my district. I had 53 churches, and one of them was Tempe First, and so that was my first experience with the church. Harold Fry was the pastor at that time, and there was a change going to be taking place in the pastoral leadership of this church, and so I was a superintendent at that time when Dorsey Allen became the pastor of the church. Another one who was here as his associate was Jane Tews, and Buzz Stevens was the campus minister here at ASU. So,
and these were folks that you were supervising them at the time?
yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
How many years was that?
Was I superintendent?
Mm-hmm.
I was superintendent for 6 years. And after that became a pastor in San Diego for 4, and then to Paradise Valley for 10 before I retired.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, what were some of the high points that were going on here at Tempe
Well,
First?
that was a struggle time for Tempe First, in that Harold Fry had been here for a number of years, and Bishop Golden felt like there needed to be a change, and when Dorsey came, there was an immense difference between Harold and Dorsey.
I have heard. I never met either one of those gentlemen, but yes.
Dorsey was from the South, and it didn't take long for him to become much loved. And I think he was probably one of the all-time favorite pastors here at the church.
I understand his wife was pretty special too.
Yeah, she was, yeah. But that was basically my first experience with the church.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I retired and we moved to Friendship Village, Gary Kennedy was the pastor at Gilbert Church and asked me to come down and help him.
Mm-hmm.
So I did for a number of years, and after leaving that church, Doris and I came here to this church when Dave Summers was the pastor.
Mm-hmm. So did you ever serve as a pastor of this congregation?
For 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
In 1997, I was here from March through June when Anita Eisman was the pastor here, and she felt like she needed to take care of her mother, who was sick and living in Southern California.
Yes.
And so she moved there, and I was asked to come here as an interim.
Mm-hmm.
So I was here for the 3 months.
So who did you replace yourself with?
I didn't replace myself. Dave McPherson came after I left. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
I think I met him one time
Yeah.
when we had some conference intervention or something over here.
He was here only for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember who followed him, but doesn't matter.
Right. Let's talk about this.
This was a gift that the church gave in appreciation for my being here for those 3 months.
Well, he's quite powerful. I have his eyes on me, and
I can turn him so that...
no, that's okay. I almost feel protected by him somehow. Nothing's going to get by him. So I would like to read the plaque on it, if that's all right.
Sure.
Okay. It says, Reverend Robert A. Stanley, God blessed us with your strength, wisdom, and leadership when we needed them most. Tempe First United Methodist Church, 1997. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Well, what are some of the other hats that you've worn during your time in the Tempe First family while you've been part of the congregation? You said you were over at Friendship Village when you came back to be part of the congregation?
Right, yeah. I can't be a member of the church, as you know.
I didn't know
I'm a member
that.
of the annual all ministers are members of an annual conference.
That's good to know.
And so we can't be members of a local church.
Okay.
But our spouses can, and so Doris became a member here.
And she would have worn some hats, I remember.
Well, actually, we've not done a whole lot in terms of being very active here, besides attending. Because most of the time we've come by bus from Tempe First.
Right. So tell me about your worship here. What keeps you here at Tempe First?
It's convenient, and just the fact that this was our home, away from home.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Feeling at home.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Bob and I are here thanks to a couple of friends of ours, Jack and Judy Surratt, who invited us to come over. But when Bob heard the organ, he was hooked. He had to stay. Yeah. Not my gift. I'm not musical. People ask me not to sing when it's happy birthday time. So, have you ever done any of your? I know that you have shared with Stitch in Time for years your beautiful woodworking. We were talking about that just a little bit ago, that I have a piece.
Yeah.
And so you're still with that?
Still doing that, yeah.
When did you learn that, your scroll work?
After I retired. After I had done those interim, I was interim pastor for 6 years, or 6 times rather. And I remember talking with a clergy friend of mine who said, Bob, what are you going to do when you really retire? And I said, well, I am retired. And she said, no, I mean when you're not doing interim stuff. And I said, I don't know. She said, is there anything you'd like to do? And I said, yeah, I'd kind of like to do woodwork. And she said, well, why don't you? And I shared that conversation with Doris, and she bought me a scroll saw. We had a son-in-law who was an executive with Black & Decker, and
I like their equipment.
Yeah. So we got a DeWalt scroll saw, and I just started playing with it. That's been fun. I've really enjoyed that through the years.
Well, you do beautiful work.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's awfully pretty. That was the last class I took over at ASU to get my art degree.
Well,
I was a fibers major, and I talked them into it. I said, wood is a fiber, and they let me take a woodworking class.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I built oars with a blind spline. Just knowing that I can do that is impressive. So.
Yeah.
Some of the people that you've run into here over the years, have you got a favorite place on campus? Do you have a favorite? You've got friends with you.
I've always enjoyed Warren Dennis.
Yes.
I love music, and I would normally sing in the choir. I never did that when I was a pastor, but afterward I joined a choir. And,
wonderful.
But I haven't done that here because of coming with a bus usually.
Right.
So,
yeah. Choir practice on Wednesday night. That's a commitment.
Yeah. And we enjoyed so much Dave Summers when he was here, and of course the other pastors as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me about your favorite Methodist potluck ever.
Oh,
We were just talking about, we're going to have another one in October.
well, it's not been here.
Okay.
but
Where was it and what did you like?
Paradise Valley. Because,
Yes.
you know, I was there for 10 years.
Right.
And we had those kinds of things too, so.
What else did you do? Did you have performances? Did you have
We're there.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was involved in the annual conference a whole lot too.
Right.
And I, was chair of the Board of Ordained Ministry for a number of years.
We've had a number of our pastors on
Yeah.
that board. I remember Dan Hurlbert, I think, was on
right,
that.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's an important one. We need to get to the point where we're at least even
Yeah.
on the people retiring with the people coming
Yes.
coming in.
Yeah, yeah. What was the question?
Oh, that was it.
Yeah,
You answered it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to add to this church that we're not doing right now? I know we just had the meeting with the different options or pathways. Do you have any ideas that would help in the future of Tempe First?
I've thought a lot about that, and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I'm concerned about the future of this church.
Mhm.
Because the congregation is getting older, and
Yes, we
certainly
are.
no neighborhood. Its ministry to the campus, I think, is a very important one. But it's obvious that it's really appealing, principally with foreign students.
It appears that they are the ones that have found us
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
More outreach, I think, is being planned. And I was taken this last Sunday by how many young people came in. We keep a count in the back there when folks come in. And a lot of people come like I used to, the 9:35 service, come a little bit late. And it's like that Cary Grant movie where the kids kept coming in
Yeah.
to sing. And I met some of the young ladies that had come in after the start of the service, and they said they'll be back next year.
Mm.
So that'll be fun
Yeah.
to have more of those young people
Yeah.
find us
Yeah.
and be welcomed.
Yeah. I struggle along with everybody else as to what the future is going to be for the church.
Mhm. I have high hopes. I have a son who is hopefully going to marry, have a family. I'd like to see some weddings. I'd like to see some more baptisms.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of that when you were a pastor? Did you enjoy that part?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I would think that would be a happy, friendly part.
But it's a different day now. From
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. When I retired, it just the church changed in that at Paradise Valley we would take in about 150 members a year, at least.
Mm-hmm. Did they live in the Paradise Valley community?
They
or
came
did
from all over, but
Oh.
mostly they did in
Mhm.
in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley.
Right.
But the church was really growing at that point, and the churches are not growing now. And,
They don't appear to be.
No.
They're sort of in a trough right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I'd like to get back up to a peak or a valley.
yeah,
I have been involved in the Pen Pal program over at Scales, and Stitch and Time has talked about maybe we'll have a summer sewing camp, something like that, to maybe bring in some people, because there's kids around. There are 7 schools around this church.
Mm.
A lot of retail and a lot of commercial too, but
yeah.
they're out there. We just need to find a way to entice them over.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
Well, the changes that have just taken place at the General Conference,
Can you talk about that a little bit? I haven't been to conference for many years. We used to go, but we don't.
not General Conference.
Not general conference.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
one? The annual conference?
Annual Conference.
Right.
Yeah,
And is that going to be in Tucson this year?
yeah.
Will you be going?
Probably for only one day.
Mhm.
They will be having a memorial service on Thursday, the 13th of June. And since Doris will be honored at that time, I need
Okay.
to be there. But General Conference, as you know, the church has been in transition. And the General Conference is meeting right now in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is this the difference between United and Global?
Yeah, the General Conference has just made the decisions to change the Book of Discipline, taking out all references to the LGBTQ being in opposition to the
Mhm.
biblical teaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's removed all of that from the Book of Discipline, so the church is totally open to that now.
Okay.
In the whole process of the last 6 years,
Excuse me.
we've lost 7,800 churches from the United Methodist Church. They have disaffiliated.
And that is globally, not only in the United States.
That's in the United States.
That's in the United States.
Yeah.
It's a bigger number
So
than I
at
expected.
this point, there is no division between those who accept gays and lesbians and those who refuse to accept them. That's no longer going to be an issue in the church, and I think there's hope in that.
Mm-hmm.
That as we quit fighting about that within the church,
Yes.
there may be some new hope for us.
Well,
I'm hopeful for that.
I'm gonna hope right along with you.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that sounds like the future.
yeah, yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Right.
I'd rather do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for talking with me today
Well, thank you, Claire.
and
It's been a pleasure.
bringing Wolf in with you.